What's going on? John with the Pro Cut, back with another how-to video, and today we're going to be assembling a Harbor Freight cement mixer and the tools that you're going to need for the job to help you out. A couple of clamps, two 17 mil sockets, two 14 mil sockets, two 12 mil sockets, a 10 mil socket, an extension, at least two ratchet handles. I've got three here because I was using a 1/4 inch drive and 3/8 drive, a 14 mil open end wrench or ratchet wrench if you have one, and a pair of vice grips or pliers. Let's get into it. Like, comment, subscribe. I've got it all out of the package and I've separated my hardware pack. There was a Ziploc bag and then there was a smaller bag tied inside of it. The smaller bag had these big washers and all these smaller nuts and bolts, and these are all going to be a 10 millimeter, and then the bigger bag had all these larger bolts, and you've got a 14 millimeter on the bolt head and a 12 millimeter on the nut. Okay, and this bigger bolt is going to be a 17 millimeter for the nut and the bolt. So now I'm going to prep all my washers onto here and lay out the machinery to get that all assembled as quickly as possible. Now the first thing you're going to need is a 14 mil ratchet and a 12 millimeter ratchet. You're going to need your two cotter pins, your four big washers, four M8 nuts, four M8 by 65 mil bolts, and four M8 washers. And then we're going to be able to assemble the front leg and rear wheel bracket to the cross bracket. So to put the wheels on, you're going to go ahead and put on one of your washers, then you're going to put on your wheel, then you're going to put on the other washer, and then you're going to put in your cotter pin and bend the legs over with a pair of vice grips or regular pliers. The next step is to lift your cross support into position with your wheel bracket and your front leg, and go ahead and put your M8 65 mil bolts through with the washer on the bolt side and your M8 nuts on the other side, and tighten them down with your 14 mil and 12 mil ratchets. The next step is to put your drum in place, and you want to put the motor shaft end on the wheel side and the part where you're going to mount your dump handle on the handle side. And then you put in some M8 by 60 mil bolts with an M8 washer on the bolt side and your M8 nut on the opposite side, and tighten them down with your ratchets or wrenches, whatever you have. Now on your control handle plate, it's a little tricky. You've got a little bit of a slot there, so you're going to put that over this clamp ring and then turn it into position, and then you're going to put a M8 by 20 mil, and you're going to put a spring lock washer and a flat washer on it, and put those into there. Same on the other side, and then tighten them down with your 14 mil ratchet. The next thing you're going to assemble is your control handle, and you're going to want to enlist the help of a clamp, maybe two. So I realized when I was editing, I forgot to mention the reason you need the clamp is because you got to put that spring inside the handle, and it makes it very difficult to get the bolt through. To be able to get this big M10 in, and then you'll need a 17 mil on both sides to tighten it up, and you're going to have flat washers on both sides as well as a M10 nylock nut, and tighten it down. The next thing I did was mount my inside motor and pulley guard, and again you're using M8 bolts with a flat washer and a lock washer. Next up, you're going to put on your motor mount bracket, and you're going to use this big metal plate, and there's supposed to be a 70 mil M8, but I didn't have it, so I just used the leftover 65. And you're also going to put a flat washer and a lock washer, and then tighten it down with your 14 mil ratchet. Now we're going to go ahead and put our pulley on. So there's a little Woodruff key, and that goes in the slot, and then your pulley goes on, and that Woodruff key holds that into place. Now that I have the right washer, it's going to be the thick black washer, and you're also going to put a lock washer in there, and these are an M6, so you go ahead and start that in, and then tighten it down with your 10 millimeter. Just snug it down into place. Now you're good to go. The next step is bolting down your motor. Again, M8s, so you're going to use a 14 mil socket, and I did find out on these with the motor, you're going to want a box end or open end wrench, preferably a ratcheting wrench if you have one, to get in here for these, and it's a 12 mil on the nut side. So now that these are tightened down, you can loosen up this bracket so you can drop that down and tighten up the belt. Now that this belt is tight and it's able to run that, you can go ahead and put your motor cover into place. And it looks like this is going to be the M6s. So now with the motor and pulley housing on, we can go ahead and set our drum vertical like this, or horizontal rather, depending on how you want to look at it, and we can concentrate on the other half of our drum. So we've got our seal and some M6 by 20 bolts, and we're going to go ahead and put a flat washer on there, and then I'm going to put the bolt up from the, what I have is the bottom side, but it's actually going to be the top, and then I'm going to put that rubber seal on. I'm going to work my way around, and then I'll bring it over to the unit and put it on and put the nuts on the other side. Okay, so here is an edit. Notice there's an arrow sticker here and here. Put those two arrow stickers lined up with one another when you mount your top drum to your bottom drum. It'll help you when you install your paddles. Now I've got all the nuts and bolts into place, and I had to fiddle with it a little bit and go ahead and make sure your rubber is seated in there nice before you go ahead and start tightening things up. But after that, you can go ahead and tighten these 6 nuts and bolts up. Now to mount the mixing paddles, you get your M8 bolt with a flat washer, a seal gasket, and put that in the bottom, and then another seal gasket followed by the rubber washer, and then that goes down in there with an M8 nut on the bottom. And then on the top with these upper ones, since this is out, I'm going to go ahead and put the bolt in from this side so it's more flush, and put the nut on the inside. So you'll have your flat washer on the outside, and you'll have a seal washer on either side of the paddle, and then your nut. And then I'm just going to double check everything, but it should be ready for a test run. We'll see what happens. Now that it's fully assembled, I've got it plugged into the power, and you can turn it on, and you can see she rotates around. So you can put in your concrete, add your water in slowly so you can get the mix to where you want it, and then dump it out into your wheelbarrow or work pan, whatever you got going on. So this should help me work a little bit faster and get all these block laid. So I hope you learned how to put your Harbor Freight cement mixer together. Again, if you got any questions, just hit me up in the comment section. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.